Inklings and Goombas, Pikmin of all ages, I'm LIMITLESS64, welcome to my room. So, let's talk Metroid. The Metroid series is one of Nintendo's most beloved. I think everyone can agree with me on that. The delicate balance between exploration, item-based progression, and shoot-'em-up combat is executed masterfully by the Metroid series. Arguably, something that's even more fascinating is the way that each game in the series feels largely the same, even though some of the games are 2D platformers and some are third-dimension first-person shooters. It's really impressive how the developers of Metroid Prime were able to keep the Metroid-y feel of the first 3 games, despite the fact that they added a whole new dimension and put the perspective into first person. Let's see here. Gun-based shoot-'em-up combat? Yup, we got it. Steady progression system that depends on unlocking unique upgrades to your suit and equipment? Yup, that's here too. An atmosphere of solitude and darkness? We got that in spades. Morph Ball? You betcha! This transferring over of a series from the 2D space to the 3D space without redefining the series entirely was something that a lot of game developers had to take into consideration in the late 90s and early 2000s, and Nintendo absolutely nailed it. First with Mario 64 in 1996, then Ocarina of Time in 99, and then Metroid Prime in 2002. All 3 of these games are considered masterpieces and classics, and are proof that you could take a series in a new direction or a new dimension and experiment with some new ideas without completely changing the series' DNA. But back to Metroid. Whether it may be for the 2D or 3D games of the series, Metroid has always held a deep respect among members of not only the Nintendo community, but the gaming community as a whole. Metroid Prime really is Nintendo's only first-person shooter series, so I guess it's a given that with the popularity of the FPS genre, it has attracted quite a bit of attention. But Metroid has been in a bit of a bind for quite a while now. To say that the series has been on a break would be quite the understatement. The more fitting word would be a vacation, or even exile. Discounting Federation Force Another M, the last Metroid game we got was a decade ago, in 2007. I was like 3 back then. Okay, I wasn't actually 3, but you get my point. Oh, and if you're curious about when the last 2D Metroid came out, you know when that was? 2004. That is, if you're good at math, 13 years. I was like 3 back then. Wait. Yeah, I guess I actually was 3 back then. The point is, Metroid had been in retirement for far too long. With each passing year, more and more people were growing concerned about the future of the series. Until this year. This year's E3 was probably the best for die-hard Metroid fans in a long while. Not only did we get a teaser for Metroid Prime, a game that fans have been wanting for ages, but a totally unexpected remake of Metroid 2. After such a long silence from Metroid, I don't think that anyone was expecting a comeback of this degree. I could just picture the meeting that took place in Nintendo's headquarters before E3. So, I think we better make a Metroid game before our fans start exploding or something. I think it's been a little while since we've made one, and I think they're starting to get upset. Well, how about a Metroid Prime? Everybody loves a first-person shooter. Great idea. I'll call up Retro Studios and tell them to get on it. On second thought, it has been 13 years since we've gotten a 2D Metroid. Good point. We'll do that instead. But a Metroid Prime would be perfect with the Switch's gyroscopic controls. Oh, that's right. We need to make that right now. But the portable aspect of the Switch would be perfect for a platformer. I didn't think of that. We'll make a platformer. But we also need to have something to compete with Halo. Yeah, I guess. Then again, we better put something on the 3DS before it... Oh, to heck with it. Let's just make both. And that's exactly what they did. Now, Metroid Samus Returns released about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I meant to review it. Honestly, I really did, but, technical difficulties. So, since I'm kind of late to that party, I thought that I'd just take this opportunity to do a really late 1-minute review with Linkachu. Let's go. Samus Returns is a really cool updated take on the Game Boy game Metroid, The Return of Samus, although arguably I would say it's even closer to Super Metroid. It very much feels like a classic Metroid game with all of the old unlockables like super missiles, power bombs, and the screw attack, but also with some new blood in it with things like Aeon abilities that let you slow down time and scan the environment, as well as the new 360-degree shooting range that's made possible by the 3DS's circle pad, as well as cool little things like the ability to shoot while clinging to an edge. The combat system feels really, really great once you can get used to the controls, which took me about an hour or so to pick up. Similar to Super Metroid, all of the unlockables that you get in this game make you feel more and more awesome as you go along, especially with things like the triple beam that triples your shooting area, and the space jump that straight up lets you jump
forever.
Something that I really didn't expect to see in this game are cinematics. There are multiple sequences and boss fights where Samus will do the most epic stunts that are just really, really cool to watch. On the topic of boss fights, I would say the thing I liked least about this game was the lack of diversity between bosses. I can count on one hand the amount of times I fought a boss that wasn't some form of a Metroid, and the Metroids get really easy to beat after you've fought one 30 plus times. Ending on a positive note, I'm actually glad that they put this game on the 3DS. The 3D in this game is definitely one of the best I've ever seen in the 3DS's entire library, and I kept it on the entire time I played. Overall, Samus Returns is a fantastic return to 2D Metroid, minus the few gripes I had about the bosses, and I highly recommend it for anyone who still has a 3DS. Whew, I'm glad I got that out of the way. Well, as you could tell, Metroid is back and it's better than ever. Samus Returns has ushered in a new era of Metroid after its decade-long break. Now, we have Metroid Prime 4 to look forward to, as well as possibly a new 2D Metroid that may or may not have been hinted at the end of Metroid Samus Returns. I am honestly just so glad that Nintendo has finally wised up and realized that this is something that their fans have been wanting for a super long time. You know, that's kind of been a recurring trend with Nintendo recently. I mean, everyone wanted battle mode back in Mario Kart after the disappointing battle mode we got in Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, and Nintendo provided. Absolutely everyone wanted a new Zelda game that wouldn't hold your hand and provide you with a super long, overbearing tutorial segment, so Nintendo went out on a limb and created Breath of the Wild. Absolutely everyone wanted an open sandbox style Mario game like Mario 64. And, well, now we're getting Mario Odyssey in less than a month. Look at all these things combined with the return of Metroid, and I think it's pretty clear that Nintendo has really evolved into a conscientious, open-minded company that listens to their fans and gives them what they want. And that's really, really exciting. So, I absolutely cannot wait to see what Metroid has in store for the next few years, and to see where Nintendo and whoever the new developer of Metroid Prime is takes the series.